Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my weekly wrap-up of October 25th, 2015, wherein I tell you about all the things that I read this past week. I have been in a real negative mood about the books I've been reading in the last 3 or 4 days. And I put myself into a bit of a reading slump by forcing myself to finish some of these things and finish them so quickly. So I have only myself to blame for that, but oh well. I've actually had a really good weekend though. I had a friend come to visit. We worked on a jigsaw puzzle. We ate chocolate. It was great. I haven't done much reading because of that. The first thing that I read and really enjoyed was Lumberjanes Volume 2, Friendship to the Max. This is written by Noelle Stevenson and Grace Ellis, and the artwork is by Brooke Allen. This is a fantastic comic created by ladies, for ladies, and gentlemen, and it follows a group of young ladies at a really fun summer camp that is not all that it seems. It has monsters in the forest, and squabbling Greek gods show up in this one. There are anagrams, and just lots of fun supernatural adventures. I loved the second installment. I love the characters. Joe is still my favorite. I loved the adventures, of course, and I really continue to like the artwork, even though it's not the style of artwork that I usually go for. I usually like realistic, like almost like photorealistic artwork, and this is much more cartoony, but I love how bold it is. I love the colors. I love the action. It's just big and bold and loud and fun. The second book that I finished this week was Once a Hero by Elizabeth Moon. This is the fourth book in the Serrano Legacy series that I have been reading over the past 2 or so months. I like this book so much more than the first 3 books. It introduces a new protagonist named Esme Suiza, and I just liked her and her struggles and her conflict and her story so much more than Harris Serrano, who I thought was really boring. I'll have my thoughts about this book and the plot synopsis in another video, which will be up in a couple of days, so look out for that. The next book that I finished was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I listened to this on audiobook. If you've been following me on Goodreads at all, you know I've had some rather negative status updates about this book. I didn't like it, and I am so tired of being the negative Nancy about this book and about Sanderson as an author that I'm just not going to go into this anymore. I wrote a kind of short review explaining my major problems with this book, and I will leave the link to that down below if you really want to know some more of the specifics. What it really boils down to is I understand what people are saying that they love about Sanderson and his books. I have read 3 of his stories now: Elantris, Mistborn of the Final Empire, and The Way of Kings, and with each one I have enjoyed his stuff even less, which is unusual. I think usually when I read more of an author, I come to appreciate their work and their writing style a lot more. And I've just basically proven and overproven to myself that Sanderson's writing style does not work for me. With the Stormlight Archive, I've heard from a bunch of people that this is his baby. This is his lifelong project that he is very invested in. And I think that shows. He's done so much work behind the scenes of building this universe, and I think that's great. There's a lot of depth in the story. There are a lot of cool concepts and a lot of potential, but it's ruined for me because he seems so over-enthusiastic in telling you everything up front instead of letting it naturally come where it needs to in the story. It's just like dumping it all on you at once, and I don't like that. He's not the author for me, and I will leave him for all of you people who really love him. More for you. Next, I read Envy of Angels by Matt Wallace. This is one of the Tor.com novellas I received for free from the publisher in exchange for an honest review. I have written a full-length review that I will link down below if you want to read that. This is the short version. I liked it. I didn't love it. It was a really fun caper, and it's the first in a series. It's going to feature this catering company called Scene du Jour and the paranormal supernatural clientele they serve. I love the cover of this novella. If you just look at it, it tells you a lot of what you need to know. Angel wings, chicken nuggets, Scene du Jour. Do you need to know much more? There are multiple groups of characters that you follow in this. You have Darren and Lena, who are line cooks. They get a job at this place called Scene du Jour, run by a guy named Bronco Luck. And the plot is that the crew of the catering company are asked to prepare a meal for a meeting of demons, and the ingredient that they have to use is angel wings on chicken nuggets, guys. You can probably guess. And they vote to not do this thing, so they have to fake the taste and the texture of this ingredient across a bunch of dishes. And there are demons stealing recipes, a giant hen, demonic undead clowns. It's crazy, and it's really fun. I recommend this for people who just want to read a real romp of a story with, you know, the supernatural element. The final thing that I read this week was Remake by Connie Willis. I didn't like this very much, but for personal preferences, not because the story was inherently bad. When I try to view this objectively, it's quite a solid story, especially where writing and plot are concerned. I just did not connect to most of it. Remake is about a future of Hollywood where everything is computerized and CGI and special effects have replaced entirely the need for live action actors, and they're just remaking and redoing and rehashing all of the old famous movies rather than making original movies anymore. Sound familiar? Our main character, the narrator, I think his name is Tom, but it's not mentioned very much. He meets this woman named Alice at a party, and she tells him that she wants to dance in the movies, like in musicals. But she doesn't want to be pasted into a movie. She actually wants to dance in a movie like a live actor. But this is impossible. And he tells her, this is impossible. They don't do that anymore. You can't do that. She disappears, and then while he is watching the original of an old movie, I think it's Oklahoma, he sees her. She's in the background dancing, and it is definitely her. It's not a paced up job. She's really in the movie. Unless time travel is involved, this really should be impossible. He tries to find out why. I didn't like this book for 3 reasons. One is that most of the emotional content of the story is about love and nostalgia for films from the golden age of Hollywood from the 1920s to the 1960s. I've never seen Singin' in the Rain or Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I have seen Oklahoma, and I did not like that musical. It was not my thing. I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm not interested in old movies. This simply didn't appeal to me because of that. The second thing is that I didn't like Tom. He spends most of the book completely drunk, completely high, and doing stupid things because of that. Also, one of his main motivations throughout like the first third of the book is that he wants to have sex with Alice, and she's not having any of that. And I'm like, just stop it, dude. The final thing is that Alice needed more character development. She needed more motivation or explanation for this dream of hers. She just says, I want to dance in the movies. Then she makes it happen. That's it. Despite these problems, I did end up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars, which is a pretty high rating for a book that I didn't enjoy a lot of, because it was well written. I did think the plot was pretty solid, and I liked one of the secondary characters a lot. There's a woman named Hedda who spends a lot of the book taking care of Tom. She goes through a real reversal with her character. She becomes very motivated to get something, and she does all of this on her own. I thought there was a lot of potential for her character. I thought she needed some appreciation for that. That's everything that I read this past week. I'm currently reading The Philosopher Kings by Jo Walton. This is the sequel to the Just City in her Thessaly series. I'm buddy reading this with Ottavio from the Galilean Library. I'm also listening to the audiobook version of the Welcome to Night Vale book by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner. I'm a huge fan of the Welcome to Night Vale podcast. I listen to it religiously. I have lots of their merchandise and I want more. I was so excited about this book. I bought the physical version and the audiobook, and I'm gonna have some critiques of the book, I think. I will talk about it when I'm finished. I'm almost done. I'm like 75% of the way through it, so getting there. I've also just barely started The Fall of the Kings by Ellen Kushner, and so far I like it. I mean, I'm like 20 pages into it, but it's the kind of fantasy that I really like. Other than that, the only thing that I'm really committing myself to reading in this coming week is Dracula, because that's my Halloween read. I don't read scary stuff. This is the last classic on my 2015 reading list, so I really want to finish that and be done with that part of my reading list. I'm not making any other commitments because I'm going to be out of town for a couple of days on a business trip, and that kind of thing usually really takes it out of me. I'm pretty low energy, and driving and staying overnight at business meetings is kind of an anxiety trigger for me, so under-committing to everything to get through this week. I can do it. So I hope you guys have had a great weekend and really enjoy your coming week. I will slay this coming week. Go me! And I'll be back in a couple of days with my next video. And until then, bye.